Hey, I just want to address something that's probably, in my opinion, the most important thing about owning a dog, or if you own a dog, or if you're going to get a dog. Um, what you have to realize is once you have that dog in your possession, that is now your responsibility. So, what does that mean? Well, let's say that you want to get a dog from a shelter. One, because you want to do something good, and two, because you can get adopt a dog for not a lot of money, which is fine. But then you have to consider what is it going to take to maintain that dog. And what I mean by that is if the dog gets to your home and you go through what I call the honeymoon stage, which is the first 2 weeks where the dog isn't really showing what it really is behavior wise, because it's trying to figure out uh, the leadership role in the family, whether or not, or in the pack, whether or not he's going to need to take over. It's going to need to take over that role, or if somebody else in the pack is going to assume that role. And then at that point, after that 2 weeks, they start to figure things out for themselves, and they start to move on with their behaviors, and that's when the unwanted behaviors and quirks and things start to present themselves. So you've got your dog from the shelter, and I don't know what the adoption fees are, like $50, $100, and now this dog is starting to show some aggression. So what most people will say is that they're just going to rehome the dog. Well, that is unfair to the dog, and it's also you copping out on your responsibility as the owner of that dog. Um, if if you haven't exhausted all of your options to make sure that dog's behavior is going to be rehabilitated, then you're you're giving out on your responsibility. And so what I mean by that is that, yeah, you had your $50 to $100 to adopt a dog, okay, and then starts to show these unwanted behaviors. Even if it's not aggression, it's tearing up the couch, it's tearing up your carpets, chewing up the walls, whatever it may be. Well, it's now your responsibility to fix that behavior. And if you don't know how to, you're going to have to pay somebody that does know how to fix that behavior. So, and when it comes to aggression, I mean, there aren't a lot of people that really know how to deal with aggression issues. So, I mean, you're going to probably have to spend quite a bit more money with an aggression issue than you would just, some typical unwanted behavior, peeing in the house, chewing things up, or just being a little bit crazy. So if you don't have in your budget for your new dog, or for your dogs, to fix behavior issues if they present themselves, then you probably should rethink getting a dog until you're at a place where you can get to that point and fix those issues, or have somebody that can help you fix those issues. I I think if you've gotten to that point and you've exhausted everything and you have to rehome the dog, that's fine. But you have to give the opportunity to the dog. I mean, that's the whole point of getting a dog, is to give it the opportunity to live a great life with you. And going straight to rehoming it is the wrong way to go about it. And I just think that as our responsibilities, we just need to be aware that there might be more to that than just getting the dog. I mean, food's something you obviously have to consider. Possible vet bills, training, behavior rehabilitation, things like that. I mean, are you able to get the dog out and take it out and do things with it? And so those are all things that you need to consider before you get a dog. And once you do have that dog, just make sure that you're committed to giving it the life that it deserves. And in turn, that dog will give you all the love and respect and friendship and comfort that you deserve in turn for doing that for that dog. But not very often does it happen where a dog comes into a family and they're just immediately just rolled right in without having any issues at all. I've seen it happen, but it's only been like 1 or 2 cases that I've ever seen, and I've been doing this for 15 years. So anyway, just make sure that if you're going to get a dog, whether it's from a shelter or a breeder, that's another thing. If somebody, goes and spends $10,000 on a puppy because of its pedigree, that's great. But do you have the money to put into it after you've spent that $10,000 on that puppy? Because if you don't, maybe get one with a little less of a price tag at $5,000, and then you have $5,000 to put into the puppy and its behavior. So just remember that it's your responsibility once you have the dog to make sure that that dog's behavior is under control and not just sending it out to somebody else. Because if you rehome it, you're giving somebody else your problem. Somebody else getting the dog is not going to just automatically fix the dog. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. You have to do something to fix that behavior. And not only that, but with aggressive dogs or dogs, any dog that's out of control and it bites somebody, now you have to worry about medical bills. You have to worry about lawsuits. And I mean, if you think putting $10,000 worth of behavior rehab and training into a dog is expensive, well, just think of how much a lawsuit's going to cost you. And then you have to think of the emotional side that's going to cause to the other person that was bit, whether it's a child or anybody that was bit. And then you also have to factor, if the court deems that your dog is unfit to stay alive and you have to put the dog down, now you're also going to have to pay for the euthanization fees and that's on top of everything else, the lawsuit, the medical bills, vet bills if there are any. And then you have to pay for the euthanization fees. So just make sure that you're in a place where you can take care of that dog to your financial ability as well. I just think it's super important for all of us to realize our responsibilities in our dogs' lives and make sure that we can provide those things for them.